Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well. We're here back, hump day today, but we've got our live session with a receptionist service that a company provides, and we're going to be live with one of their sales team member who is going to talk about why is it an advantage for real estate agents, businesses to have a pocket receptionist who answers your calls while you may be busy doing viewings, meetings, and you do not miss a phone call for a lead generated. So we have got Tyler Harrison who is going to join us right now. Let's take him live.
Hi, good
Tyler,
afternoon.
good
How you doing?
afternoon. Good, and yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, not at all. Thank you so much for coming on to join me on my mission to share the knowledge and spread the positivity amongst all the people, all the humans around the world, especially in the field of what you do. So thank you so much for coming on.
No problem at all.
Pleasure. Before we start, Tyler, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Tyler. So I currently am working for the Liquid 11 Group. We're a large telecoms company based in a place called Lowestoft, just in Norfolk in East Anglia. And I spend the majority of my time working on one of their flagship brands, which is Pocket Receptionist.
Okay.
The people that come to us for help generally are experiencing some kind of challenge with their incoming calls. So they could be missing phone calls and potentially missing revenue, or they could just be busy and they want their phone calls to be answered professionally. So we help with that.
Of course. That's great. Before we move on into the deep end of the conversation, I want to take you a few years back. I know you're a young guy, but just to take you a few years back into your childhood, while going to school, college, university, as we are growing up as kids, we see different careers in front of us. For example, our parents, one of the parent might be an entrepreneur, one of the parent might be a lawyer, a doctor, and we see all these careers in front of us with possibly our relatives, our family members who are doctors, lawyers, architects, engineers, someone who is a musician, an actor. Did you aspire to be one of those careers when you were growing up, or did you always want to be this sales? You wanted to always deal with the sales and marketing of a company that you're currently doing right now. What is it that you aspired to be when you're growing up?
Yeah, so I think I've always had an interest in sales, and previously I've always had sort of sales roles. I think growing up, my mum and my dad always had like multiple jobs, so I always feel like I've had quite a strong work ethic. And my dad had his own print finishing business, so I've always looked at them and sort of they've given me inspiration in how hard they've worked. So sales has been really something that I've always wanted to do.
But there was no other career that you aspired to be when you were growing up?
Yeah,
Like,
so I think
when we were kids and we get asked the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? So I'm asking you today, what did you want to do when you were growing up?
So I think when I was really young, it was probably being like a footballer. I used to love playing football at school.
Why is it? I mean, I come from Pakistan. I'm born and been raised in Pakistan, so I always thought that I want to be a cricketer. But it's always like that, right? Why is it that so many English kids that are growing up in this country always dream of being a footballer? Why is that?
I think it's just because football is so widely shown on TV. I think, I mean, it's everywhere, isn't it? There's wherever you live, there's always going to be a football stadium nearby.
Of course.
At school, it's probably one of the most popular games if you're doing like PE or any kind of physical sports at school. So it's a strange one. I think it's almost because I know like you've got cricket, football, rugby. They're all very popular, aren't they? And
Of course.
yeah, certainly where I grew up in sort of like West London, it was very much a sort of football area. So
And which team did you want to play for if you ended up being a footballer?
Arsenal, absolutely, Arsenal. Yeah.
That's good to know. So when you sort of were growing up and you sort of found yourself that, okay, I want to get into sales, I mean, how did you go about doing that? I mean, studying at university, college, what sort of degree education that you did to help you out in getting where you wanted to be, where you are today?
So I think I had probably quite a slightly different path to most. So I actually didn't do college or university.
Okay.
I made the decision that as soon as I left school, I wanted to go straight into work. So really had no interest in furthering my education.
Why is that?
I wanted to be out earning money. To be completely honest with you, I wanted to be able to buy a car. I wanted to be able to have my own place, and I really enjoyed school, but I just didn't want to have more years
So
of
so you went for the experience path rather than the educational path.
100%. Yeah.
Which
So
is great because sometimes I also think that what did I do when I went to university? I mean, I studied business myself. So university does not teach you experience. You
that's
know,
it.
they teach you, they give you education, they give you that exposure. And obviously for me, coming from Pakistan, it was more sort of the exposure to meet new people, new friends. Like I've always had Pakistani friends all my life. But when I came here, I had an English friend, I had someone from the black community, I had someone who was a Pakistani raised here, an Indian raised here, so that exposure, I really thank my parents that they thought about me to go out to university in London and to get that education and exposure. But when I sit back and think about it, I thought maybe if what the route that you took, which you went for the experience, had I taken
Mm.
that route, I would be at a different place today. But all good, like I believe, everything in good time.
Yeah.
And no one can take that away from you.
No, definitely not. And what I found really useful for me was hanging round with people that were older than me. So going straight into work at such a young age in an office environment, you're with people that have had life experiences and yeah. So that was great for me. That was a massive eye opener. And yeah, as you say, I wouldn't have had that if I'd have maybe continued my education and been surrounded by people of a similar age.
And did you get directly into sales, or what was the first job that you did?
Wow, so going right back, it would have been well. Actually, when I left school, I because as sort of a separate to what I do during the day, I've got a little side hustle where I work as a magician, which you may have seen on my LinkedIn profile. So
Of course.
when I left school, I was very much just doing magic shows. I was
And
working in.
this was your passion from a very young age to become a magician?
Yeah, it was kind of football and magic, I suppose.
Okay.
And yeah, so as soon as I left school, I started doing that. But then I realized that I didn't want to do that full time because the events I was doing was really just weekends. So
Okay.
I needed to fill my time during the week. So that's when I started working in sales for an insurance company.
So
And
going to birthday parties and events like that to show magic to the viewers out there, whoever there is, I mean the guests and everything.
yeah, it was more. It
How
was yeah.
how was that experience?
Really good, and it taught me a lot from like a confidence point of view. Like if standing in front of people and sort of performing, if you like it, yeah, it definitely teaches you a lot. So yeah, I take a lot of work, and I feel like a lot of my uh, sales skills or a lot of the sort of the magic stuff has helped me in sales, people skills, talking to people, just having that confidence in face-to-face meetings, stuff like that. So
That's
yeah,
that's 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 one of the things, right? Like as a magician, you have to stand in front of all these people and show them your tricks. And at the back of the mind, you're thinking, hold on a second. I mean, maybe I might get found out. Did you ever have that feeling, or did the viewers sitting in front of you, did they sometimes think that Tyler is just, he's just messing around. We all know that that's not magic. Did you ever have that feeling in your mind or in your thought
Um,
process?
a little bit. I think it's because the way I present it, and by the way, I still do that to this day. That's still a sideline, slightly
Okay.
different type of events these days. But yeah, I think the way that I've always presented it, it's not kind of a oh, look at me, I can do this, or I can do something that you can't. It's always been very much like let's just chill out. I'm going to do some magic. We'll have a good time. That kind of
Okay.
vibe.
Okay.
So I feel like I haven't really. Oh, sorry, this light keeps going
It's
on.
all right.
I haven't. I don't really give people the opportunity to think in that way. It's very much
So
experience
they
driven.
feel it's real.
Yeah, and doing stuff that relates to them. Like,
Okay.
I
Can you
know.
can you can you can you show me a magic trick live?
Probably not. I haven't really got anything. The
Okay.
next time we'll do it a live next time, and I'll do some stuff for you.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no. Yeah, sales for
But
an
that
insurance.
that 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 part of your career sort of gave you that confidence in how to speak to people and how to present yourself to people and how to be confident in front of people, because confidence is key in sales. Like they say, right?
Mm.
If you can sell salt to a snail, you are the go-to salesman, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's the people skills
Of
that's really
course.
what I've taken from it, because a lot of what I've done has been face to face, so that's been really helpful. And also, do you know what? It's a great talking point. There's probably, if you're talking to a company, they may have spoken to three or four other people possibly, and it gives me a bit of an edge, I found,
Of
over
course.
over competitors.
Of course. Did you ever try the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent?
No, do you know what? People ask me that
I mean,
all the
not the X
time.
Factor, Britain's Got
Yeah,
Talent,
yeah,
more
yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah. It's never really interested me, to be honest, because I feel like, and I really like the show, but I think if you go on there, you're thrusted into the limelight for that couple of weeks when you go on stage and stuff. But then you've got to you've got to ride that wave, and yeah, it's just not a life I would want to live. I don't feel like I'd maybe get that far anyway, but yeah, I wouldn't. I like doing what I do. I do the corporate stuff now on the weekends, and
Okay.
then obviously the day job as well. And I like the setup, so I wouldn't want to. Yeah, I don't think I'd want that life, to be honest.
Okay. So coming back to your career,
Yeah.
how was it getting into the direct sales job that you're currently doing? But before what you were currently doing, how was it leaving school, doing the magic shows as well, and then putting yourself into a direct sales job? Can you take me through that? And what did you do when you got in? What was your first sales job that you did?
Yeah, so when I joined the insurance company, which was my first proper job, I actually joined in the customer service department. So my job was to speak to customers who had a car insurance policy and then
Okay.
talk about if they wanted to make changes, etc. And then one day they introduced a scheme, a cross-selling scheme. So they
Okay.
said to us in customer service, if you're speaking to someone on the phone, um, and they don't have breakdown on their insurance policy, let them know that it's something we offer and see if you can sell them a policy. So that was
Okay.
probably my first introduction to sales, and really enjoyed doing that. I was knocking out loads of breakdown,
Breakdown policies.
yeah, loads of breakdown policies, and I really got the
Hold
taste
on,
for the.
hold on a second, Tyler. Just 1 second. Kylie Irvin, if you're not interested, I suggest you leave this live session. Don't put comments like this on my live, please. All right? Thank you so much. But yes, Tyler, sorry, go on.
That's okay. Yeah. So the cross selling was my first introduction to sales. So this was, yeah, I loved it. Really enjoyed it. And then they started adding other stuff that we could cross sell. It got to a point where I was doing so well that the sales manager came over and said, "We don't want you on customer service anymore. We want you to join the sales team."
Of
So
course.
yeah, that was really when I was sort of thrusted into the world of sales and loved it. Did great things there, and then moved on to a publishing company. I was there for a few years, and it was doing
Publishing
uh,
companies, yes, please take me through that.
yeah.
What did that involve?
So this was the first one was for a travel magazine. So TNT Travel Magazine, which
Okay.
is still going today, and it's aimed at people coming to the UK from Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand.
Okay.
So people that come over for sort of 6 months whilst they're traveling
Okay.
around the world, and the magazine would offer them inspiration on things to do in London, where to stay, European tours, stuff like that. So I was selling advertising space within the magazines, and that was
And
very much a hardcore cold calling role. 200 phone calls a day, speaking to people
this is what I
that don't
wanted to
know.
get at. How did you manage? I mean, me being a real estate agent, right? And I compare myself sometimes to the real estate brokers out there working for example, Knight Frank and Savills and all these big companies, and they get a list of like 100 people that they have to call in that day. How do you guys manage to do that? Can you like provide me with some tricks of what do you do to make those phone calls? Like 250 phone calls. I mean, my God,
Yeah,
seriously.
it's a lot. Do you know what? At that particular time at TNT Magazine, we had an unbelievable team. We had so many great people, and the buzz in the office was amazing. Every day, like we'd all rush in to get to work because we just enjoyed it so much.
So
Yeah,
it was like a healthy competition that you were doing, that you were going through that phase with people. And working in these call centers or even in the sales team, and you have like 30, 40 people next to you and everyone's like back, talking. How do you concentrate on your phone call? I mean,
well,
at that point, they didn't even make like noise breaking AirPods or headphones. How did you go out and do that?
yeah, it was very much the old school handset. So it was just a lot of holding your ear and kind of listening that way. But yeah,
Seriously.
it was a loud office. It was a great buzz. And yeah, not everyone that you speak to is going to be interested in what you're offering. But when we did get the sale, speaking to someone who didn't know who we were, didn't know what the magazine was, didn't even want to advertise, and when you got them to advertise, it was just the best feeling ever. So that's really what kept us going. But yeah.
And these sales jobs that you were doing, were they high on basic salary or were they high on commissions?
It was a bit of both really. Yeah, it was sort of a reasonable salary plus commission on top. I've never done a commission only job, to be honest, and I think personally I would maybe struggle. It's nice to have the security of having a basic wage. So yeah, but back then it was basic and commission. But the business expanded so much. We weren't just doing magazines. We then started doing events. We brought out other magazines. We were doing online stuff. Yeah, it was brilliant, really good time. And then from there, I moved to another publishing company, which was more B2B focused. So
Okay.
instead of travel, it was all about speaking to businesses across the world. We were doing Africa, Asia, the Middle East, construction companies in property, loads of industries, and then getting them to advertise within the various
So
titles.
your first publishing job was like a B2C sort of
Yeah.
publishing, and then B2B sort of publishing. Did you see a massive difference in that, or was it the same? Or like, I mean, when you're working directly with customers, it's like, or the consumer, the budgets might be slightly lower,
Mm.
other than when you're working with the business itself, who can generate that sort of revenue for magazines like yourself. How was it? What was the main difference, and what were the advantages of working for a B2B rather than a B2C publishing company?
Yeah, so the budgets were bigger for sure. That's definitely one of the main things. I think also the decision making process, it took a lot longer. For the travel magazine, we were often speaking to the owners there and then, so they could make a decision, or you could gauge whether you could possibly work with them. But in the B2B world, I found that people would have to go away and speak to. There's a lot more people involved, so the
Of
overall
course,
decision would take a lot longer, I would say.
of course. And then, so after that experience at the B2B publishing company, was it Pocket Receptionist that you came to, or was there something else that you did
No,
between that?
in between there, it was a company called Nielsen Brand Bank, who a huge operation. They take images of all of the supermarket products in the UK. So
Okay.
when you're doing your online shopping on Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's website, and you're looking at all the images before you press the add to cart, the images are taken by Brand Bank. So
Wow.
huge operation. And I was there as an account manager, managing. I went in sort of managing their lower tier clients, and then I progressed up to key account manager, where I was managing companies like
Tesco, Sainsbury's.
it was more on the manufacturer side. So it was
Okay.
like your Haribo's, it was your
Ah,
Red
okay,
Bull,
got you. All right.
yeah, big companies like this, and managing that. So yeah, great fun. I was there for a few years, and then now progressed over to Pocket Receptionist.
So this is what we are going to talk about, Pocket Receptionist. Tell me all about it. What does it involve? How do you go out and get that revenue generated for businesses that possibly cannot answer the phone call there and then? Like, for example, being a real estate agent, I have thousands of things to do during the day, like going out for viewings, going out to meet people, doing live sessions on Instagram, uh, emailing, WhatsApping, social media. How can you save me that time of answering the phone call? And how would you do? You mentioned that you do it so professionally that a business would generate that revenue. How do you go out and do that?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing to say is that in the UK at the moment, 25% of all phone calls are missed.
Wow.
So, and it's when I first heard that stat, I couldn't believe it. It's staggering. So, if you can imagine, even if you're a business that is only getting a handful of phone calls a day, one of those will be a business phone call. And if you're not answering that phone call, then it's potentially a lot of revenue that you're losing, particularly in property and construction, where the sort of the margin's very high.
Of course.
We could be talking, well, we are talking thousands of pounds, aren't we, per
Of
deal?
course.
So
Of course.
yeah, to be missing phone calls, it's crazy, the amount of businesses, and like, we get it, companies are busy. There's a lot going on, so we take all that stress away from you. We provide you with a dedicated team. We actually give you 6 receptionists for every client that joins us. We give you 6 receptionists. The reason we do that is that no calls are going to be missed. If you had one receptionist, you've got things like annual leave, you've got breaks, lunchtime, bank holidays, weekends. We give you a team of 6 people, so you're not going to miss a phone call again. And what that will mean is that you will generate more business, because if 100% of your calls are being answered, nothing's being missed. Calls are being answered professionally. I've got another stat that I wrote down, actually, is that the estimated average cost of missing a customer phone call for a business in the UK is £1,230. Well, for one missed phone call, that's the average cost. So if you
Wow.
can imagine, most businesses are missing 25% of their calls. So over the course of a year, it's a huge amount of lost revenue.
Absolutely. You mentioned that you give these 6 receptionists and they're dedicated to my company, myself, in a professional manner. They would answer that phone call.
Yeah.
But the challenge that I have, and most of the businesses have, is that it's outsourced,
Mm.
right, to a company like yourself. And you do not understand the value, what my business means to me. Where does that, like when someone calls me up, my passion starts talking to them,
Of
not
course.
my work. But here on your side, it's the work that talks to them. It's not passion, right? You're not passionate about my business. You're passionate about your work, your company, and you're providing a service which you have to do. How can I feel comfortable if I give my phone calls to be answered by your company? How can I feel comfortable and sleep at night that, yes, there is someone who's answering my calls the way I would?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that for us, it's all about, we're very service led. So for us, it's all about the professional service. It's all about making sure the calls aren't all are answered professionally. All of our receptionists are from really strong customer service backgrounds and go through really extensive training. But we're not saying that we're going to sort of take away the passion and enthusiasm that you have at the moment. All we're saying is, if you're getting a handful of calls every day, let us answer them and find out what the caller wants, because
Okay.
people might be calling you for all sorts of things. They might want to buy a property, they might want to sell a property, they might want to view a property. It could be sales phone calls, it could be friends and family. So
Of course.
let us be your first line of defense.
Okay.
We'll answer the calls, and then we can take the information and we can relay that back to you, so you know exactly who's called and why they're calling. And then when you're ready, you can still call that person back.
Got you.
And still sort of have as you said before, but we're the first line of defense. So it's not a case of us, and don't get me wrong, some businesses want us to go a lot further than just answering the phone calls, and they get us to book appointments for them, and in some cases we do some outbound phone calls for businesses as well.
So it's like a outsourced sort of personal assistant, not just answering the phone calls, but you also provide the personal assistant sort of framework to these companies so that they don't miss anything, or if they're super busy, then they can go out and call you up and tell you to book all these appointments for them. Right now, currently, Tyler, how many companies are you looking after at Pocket Receptionist?
Oh, hundreds. It's
And
over.
and that's all over the UK or all over the world?
All over the UK, yeah, just
Okay.
the UK. Yeah, that's where we specialise in. So all of our receptionists are based here in our office, and we don't have people working from home. So that's something that's really important to us. So it's all very very professional. But there was a company that I signed up a couple of weeks ago, because if we talk about property for a second, some estate agents work with us in different ways. So one of my simply to take messages, answer professionally with their business
Of
name.
that.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
I just had a phone call coming. But yes, sorry, you were saying.
That's okay. So some estate agents will use us simply as the first line of defence, take the
Okay.
message, and then when we send that message to them, we send it to a shared email inbox. So then
Okay.
their manager can then dish out the emails to the
Whoever he
lettings
has
team,
to.
or
Got you.
yeah, exactly. Whereas some of my clients want us to go a step further, and we link up directly to their calendar system. So if someone wants to view a property, we can just log in whilst we're on the phone, and we can book in that viewing for them. So yeah, we can do as little or as much as you want us to do, really.
And what are the charges or what are the costs that it can set me back? Maybe you can take me through like your tiers that you have. Like let's just say, for example, just answering the call or having
Yeah,
that personal assistant on board, or what are the different charges that your company has?
yeah, of course. So the packages that we have differ depending on how many calls we answer for you per month. So
Okay.
the entry level, we can answer say 30 calls for you in
Okay.
a month. And then it goes up to 60, 100, 200, etc., all the way up to some of our companies have 3,000 calls a month answered.
Seriously.
Yeah. So some
Wow.
businesses. So yeah, you're looking at as little as £1.65 a call for the entry level package. So it's great value if you think about if you were to have a team of 6 people, the costs would be huge. You think about the wage, and then you've got national insurance, tax,
Of
pensions,
course. Of
all this
course.
stuff. So
Of course.
at £1.65 a call, it's great value.
And you save all that time for the person, possibly whatever they're doing in their daily life. Um, so right now, what are the next steps that your company, obviously we are going through lockdown. I mean, we went through lockdown and
Mhm.
and COVID and all that kind of stuff. What are the steps that your company is taking to provide more services that people don't miss a single lead or a single phone call or a single appointment during these times? What are the next steps that your companies are taking in that sense?
Well, we're always looking for ways to improve. One of the things we offer is we call it a real time notification center. So
Okay.
it's powered by a mobile phone app that you can download in the App Store. And within this app, you can listen back to call recordings. And another thing you can do is you can rate the phone calls. And
Okay, so I can listen back to the phone call that your company's had with my customer, and
yeah,
I can rate. Wow,
yeah,
that's good to know. So I can know how much passionate are you guys when you're speaking to that customer of mine, right?
absolutely. Yeah, we're fully transparent. We've got nothing to hide. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because we really encourage people to rate their phone calls. You mentioned about improvements and stuff, and we're always asking, asking for feedback.
Of course.
So and then during lockdown, I mean, we were taking at the height of lockdown, we were taking overflow calls for the NHS. So
Wow.
we're classed as key workers. So we've always been here in the office throughout.
Okay.
We've got a great team, which is always expanding with every new client.
This is what I want to ask you. How many people are in the Pocket Receptionist team right now?
We've got. I mean, this is you probably can't see the office there, but we've got a huge building. We've also got another office up in Norwich, Norwich
Okay.
city centre as well. So yeah, we've got hundreds of staff. There's a lot of different arms to us. We've got the call answering, we've got a data validation business as well. We've got a business that specialises in virtual phone numbers. So yeah, it's a big operation here. Really, really exciting
Wow.
company to be part of.
Wow. So what I want to say is, on my life, if anyone's looking for a Pocket Receptionist so that you don't miss your lead, get in touch with Tyler. But Tyler, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for coming on here, sharing the knowledge of what you do and how people can generate more leads by not missing a phone call. So thank you so much for coming on here and sharing that with us today.
No, thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
But before you go, I do this with all my guests that come on here. We're going through a lot of negative sentiment around us, people losing their jobs, businesses going bust, all sorts of negativity that happened in the last few months. And this is the whole reason for me to do these live sessions, because I was going through a negative sentiment. I wanted someone to give me some positive advice at some point. So today I'm going
Yeah.
to ask you, what positive advice would you like to share with the world so that they can take that on board and move forward in life?
Okay. So for me personally, lockdown has been difficult, as it has been for a lot of people. What I found to help me and my sort of mindset is to reach out to people, and it may sound like a silly thing or a really simple thing, but yeah, just reaching out. I feel like I've spoken more to my friends and family over the last few months than I ever have, and just having that 5 or 6 minute phone call with them really, for me, it makes me feel good. It boosts my sort of my happiness level. So yeah, if anyone's sort of struggling and looking for ways to be positive, then I would say just reach out to people, even friends that you might not have spoken to for a little
Of
while.
course, of
Now's
course.
a great time to do it. We're all using Zoom, aren't we? Video chats and stuff.
Absolutely.
So
Oh, WhatsApp, live sessions on
yeah,
Instagram.
that's
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on here and sharing that all with us. It's been a pleasure to host you.
Thank you very much, Mitazo. All the best.
Thank you, Tyler. Take
Take
care.
care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. So that was Tyler Harrison of Pocket Receptionist. Amazing individual. Done so much of sales. Only a young guy, but going through much in his sales career. Absolutely amazing. Do check it out. Do check his company out as well. He's on LinkedIn. He's on Instagram. Thank you to Tyler for joining me today. Thank you to all the viewers that tuned in. It's been a pleasure to have you on City West Property. You're a bit late, but do join me again tomorrow, where I have another live session at 3 o'clock. I'll be posting that shortly as well. Thank you to everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.